And that was the amendment that changed the date for the House's consensus funding for the 15 million or their community enhancement economic development project distribution. The second, it's a date, and you're going to delete all of that language that was added by the House. So that naturally will go away.
Okay.
So you'll delete that. The second House or Senate Committee of the Whole Amendment number 2, it was brought by Senator Kinski, and it changed the House's community enhancement economic development project distribution to be based on a formula rather than population. That's the House's 15 million consensus funding, if you refer to it that way. The third amendment to delete is the Senate Standing Committee Amendment number 1. This was a Driscoll second reading amendment that limited use of distributions for compensation to city, town, and county appointed board members. The proposal offers to take half of that amendment and limit the use of distributions for compensation to county appointed board members only. So you will delete and further amend to retain half of the Driscoll second reading amendment. Then the final Senate amendment to delete is the third reading amendment from Senator Hicks. And this was the amendment that directed the $15 million to be distributed under a modified Madden-Bebout formula that would have doubled the revenue challenge distribution formulas. And it would have done that for the full 120 million. So you would have had one appropriation in the bill with that Hicks amendment. You're deleting that. That leaves you with 2 appropriations in the bill with your further amends, one of 105 million and one of 115 million. The amendments to make that happen come in on your proposed JCC under the further amend the engrossed copy as follows. Page 1, line 4 is a change to conform the title. Page 1, line 5 is continuing that, conforming
So
the title.
1 through 4 is simply a putting in distributions, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, go ahead.
Page 14, lines 5 through 22. You need to delete that entirely. This is to delete what was adopted through the House, the 15 million for the consensus
So
funding.
that's deleting the consensus language, right?
And that was brought in through the Harshman third reading amendment. Page 15, lines 1 through 7 continues deleting. And then on page 15, after line 7, you insert a new section 2 and a new section 3. Technically, you don't add a section 3. We'll get to that on the next page. In order to provide a new appropriation of 15 million to be distributed through the Madden-Bebout formula with 2 modifications. And those are to double the municipal hardship distribution.
No, slow down.
Mhm.
I can't quite hear you because of the reverberation. So it's not your fault.
No problem. So we need to insert a new section on page 15 after line 7 under your proposal to appropriate the $15 million. And the $15 million would be appropriated exactly the same manner as the 105 million is, the Madden-Bebout formula, some of you call it, with 3 changes. I guess 2 changes through 3 paragraphs. The first change is for that 15 million only, you would double the municipal hardship distribution from 5% to 10%.
The municipal hardship.
Yes. For cities and towns. The second change is for counties, and it would address the county mill levy hardship formula to provide revenue hardship for 1 mill for qualifying counties, rather than 3 mills as is under the existing 105 million.
So when we double, that's going from 5 to 10. Is that right? And so describe to us the overall impact in terms of dollars and cents.
Yeah, I'll leave this to Don.
Mr. Chairman, all entities, all cities, towns, and counties will get some additional funding as a result of this amendment. It is weighted towards smaller communities and poorer communities, both municipalities and counties. The reason why it is weighted towards the smaller municipalities is because everyone gets a small flat distribution again through the formula, because it's a new $15 million. So everyone gets either 15 or 35, I believe it is, $1,000, depending on population. And then the rest of the formula is weighted towards those municipalities and counties with the lowest per capita inverse sales and use tax and ad valorem tax collections. So a community like Lusk, which does not generate a whole lot of sales tax, will benefit more than a community like Jackson, which generates a fair amount of sales tax. On the county side, only those counties which one mill is generates less than $300,000 per year get a bump, and they get a bump equivalent to 1 mill to generate the $300,000 statewide average, I believe it is. And then once that is paid, because that's paid off the top for all counties, then it is based on the normal Bebout-Madden formula, which is also weighted towards counties with lower assessed valuations. So I've handed out a sheet here, and you will see that Converse County, just as one example, they're a very wealthy county, small population. They receive $9,700 2 times. So this is for each year of the biennium. So they'll receive a total of $19,000. So that's on page 1, and it's the 4th county. This is alphabetical by county. Contrast that with a Crook County, which actually has a lower population, but does not generate nearly as much in property taxes. Crook County will get an additional $106 million each year, so a total of $212 million out of that $15 million appropriation. So you can see it's weighted both
Million or 100?
106,000. 106,000. Excuse me if I said million. So you can see that those entities, particularly counties and municipalities that are, we call it hardship counties and municipalities, meaning they generate a very low amount of tax revenue on their own, will benefit more than larger or wealthier communities. And a great example of that is Campbell County or Gillette.
So part of the problem with this graph is that you have the totals and you have the larger, I think is why you're talking about millions, like Hot Springs. It's 1.1 million, but they can't correlate that back to what they would have got.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, the first column is 800,000, and that's what they would have got under the original 105 million.
That's what I wanted to know.
So this KISS, if you will, or the extra 15 million is going to provide 221,000 for Hot Springs County,
I see.
124 for Goshen County, and compare that against Converse County, which is quite a wealthy county in terms of ad valorem taxes benefits.
Yeah, I
very
get an
modest.
extra 9,000.
Mr. Chair,
Please.
so if I'm reading this right, the standard deviation would be 7, right? 15 million to 105 is a factor of 7. So anybody that, if the difference, let's just look at Rock River. Clearly, they are a beneficiary in the 15 million because their deviation is higher or lower. I mean, I'm interpreting it correctly.
Mr. Chairman, you are, and unfortunately, it's different for each line. So Rock River benefits not because they're poor, frankly, but because they're small. So you can see they've almost doubled because they get that $35,000 flat distribution.
It's 1/10, so clearly they are not a beneficiary.
Correct. As explained to staff, the part of the rationale for this D2, which is the middle column, this additional $15 million is counties and municipalities received large amounts of federal funds under the ARP Act. That distribution was solely on a per capita basis. It made no reference to either local wealth or economies of scale. And this additional effort attempts to counteract some of those effects of the federal funds, at least as explained to us.
So Don, I think we're gonna need is a little cheat sheet to help us walk through what you just said and what the benefits are. So without analyzing the numbers, just the concept.
Mhm.
Okay,
We can do that.
all right. Any questions?
Message number 20.
Is there a second?
23.
All right. All those in favor say aye. Those opposed, that motion carries.
Mr. Chairman, I think we'll have a roll call vote on this, so that way we
Yeah.
can get signatures.
Yep, please do.
Senator Hicks,
Obviously, Don, we're gonna need that in 20 or 30 minutes.
Senator Hicks. Senator Bateman,
Aye.
Representative Schwartz, Chairman Nicholas.
Aye.
Do we leave the vote open for the other two, or it goes as it goes?
No, we'll just sign.
Okay,
There may be a slight revolt on the Harshman side of the house. Say Harshman's gonna